What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers, and break down what's going on with the economic calendar thus far, some very important things about the markets, and what the news is saying about Tesla is we have more price cuts coming. But before I break anything down about what's going on with Tesla, before I give you guys a pre-market update, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and this offer ends in just a couple of days. Anyways, now let's break down what's happening with Tesla. So far, Tesla is going to likely gap down when we open, and this is exactly what we predicted yesterday, as Tesla's once again, we have some negative news, technically a little bit negative news. I wouldn't say it's like that horrible. But on top of that, this is what you would expect from Tesla, as we typically see this thing slow down in the mornings before we get bought back up later. So we'll be watching this range on Tesla. I'll be talking more about this a little bit later. I'm going to be watching some very, very key levels for the share price. Now, for now, let's just talk about the economic calendar. We actually have Bowman from the Fed giving a speech at 9:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so right before the market opens. And just know that Bowman is typically the third most hawkish Fed speaker according to our Fed charts. On top of this, we have the 3-month and 6-month bill auctions at 11:30 a.m. And at 1 p.m., we have Kashkari from the Fed giving a speech. Now, Kashkari is known for being the most hawkish Fed speaker. So just be a little bit careful when they give their speeches. They could temporarily shake the markets a bit. Besides that, everything else is very minor. I also want to note that Tuesday is going to be the CPI day, so the market's going to be getting ready for this, especially towards the last couple of hours. So be careful. We'll have to see what happens until then. But on top of this, we had some earnings that came out. We had Monday.com coming out for today, which is Monday. Very, very ironic timing, if anything. And this, in turn, ended up actually sinking quite a bit. This ended up sinking because despite having good earnings, their revenue outlook was not the best. So they actually saw about a 48% increase in their EPS to 65 cents a share. Revenue rose 35% to 202 million, And then on top of this, the reason why it ended up dropping is because their revenue projection was not necessarily the best. You guys can actually see it right over here. For the current quarter ending in March, they predicted a $209 million revenue in line with expectations, but their future projections were not as strong. On top of this, there's even more coming out, at least for the future. So with that being said, their revenue outlook was not as strong as what analysts wanted it to be. And we ended up seeing the share price drop 10% as a result of that. Later on, we have Shopify, Airbnb, Coca-Cola coming out, not to mention Coinbase and Roku later on for the week. And anyways, now let's talk about some news affecting the markets before I break down Tesla. The S&P 500 is above 5,000, showing some strength, which is not bad whatsoever. And we'll see how well it's holding. So far, so good. The Chiefs won their Super Bowl. This is the second straight Super Bowl they won, so congratulations to all of them out there. I'm personally a 49ers fan, but seeing them lose, it is what it is, guys. Nothing new from me. But it was a very, very great game, very entertaining. And both teams did very, very well. But the reason I'm calling this out is because there were a lot of commercials that came out, some interesting stuff involving AI. We're seeing new partnerships, not to mention Microsoft touting with AI developments, and Kia showed its new EVs, and then there's more potential sponsors coming out for Verizon, which is good news for them. The Senate on Sunday advanced a long-jammed bill that included $95 billion in aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. At least that's what they claim the money is going to be used for. On top of this, we have more earnings coming out. Don't forget about Coca-Cola for Tuesday and such. We have DoorDash, Coinbase, and DraftKings on Thursday. A judge ordered Elon Musk to testify at the SEC, which involves the investigation into his acquisition of Twitter. That's going to be very important as well. Tesla knocked $1,000 off the price of its Model Y to boost its sales in the US. This is some big news making headlines. Don't forget the Model Y is very, very popular, and all these price cuts are still feeding into those margins. This is a little bit negative for Tesla. This is part of why we're seeing the share price dropping, but it's not that horrible. It's just a $1,000 cut. On top of this, Elon Musk made this announcement, and this is going to be a temporary discounts throughout February because people don't, quote unquote, love to buy the cars in the middle of winter. That's how Elon Musk kind of worded it, and they're just doing this temporarily just because they want to boost those sales during this time. You can see right over here, it actually applies to the Model Y RWD and the long range versions sold in the US. So that's some big news that came out, a slight little price cut that has been announced. On top of this, Tesla's pay increase for employees was revealed in internal documents. That's big news for them as well. It's going to be a little negative because it may actually kind of feed into some of their margins a little differently, but not that bad so far. Besides that, I'm just seeing the same piece of news making the headlines. So this right here, they're temporarily slashing prices for some Model Y cars in the US, making all these headlines. That's actually about a 2.3 to 2% discount, or about $1,000. Nothing too insane. Anyways, now I just want to break down what's going on with Tesla and then talk about some very important things. Tesla has this resistance right here at between 194 and 195. We have a nice support at 192. If we lose 192, we're going to be looking for a move down to the 190 area, followed by, we have very minor support at 189, stronger support at 188. So if we lose 190, I think we could come down to 188. Those are going to be some levels to watch for. Tesla's dropping right now, it's testing 192, but then Bowman's about to start a speech, so we'll have to see what the reaction is. We're seeing some buyers trying to defend Tesla at 192, but it's looking a little bit weak and it does look like it might sink just a little bit more. So be prepared for that just to be safe, and watch it either try to hold this very, very low 192 range, or it could even drop a little bit lower before it tries to bounce. So look for this thing to attempt to rebound, but before that happens, it might sink a little lower. So I'll be watching support very, very carefully, at least for the time being for Tesla. Now, don't forget on SPY, we're also holding support. We're barely at 501 right now. We do look like we might drop a little bit, forming kind of like a double top right here. This could be just a temporary little drop back down towards 500. I'll be watching to see how well we hold 500 nonetheless. And then if we end up losing it, watch 498 as our next support. If we break to the upside, you want to be watching this thing essentially break out towards 501.6. If you break that, 502 is going to be tested, followed by 503. If we get a clean break of 502, we're going to push easily to 503, then eventually 505 above that. I think it's going to sink a little bit more towards this breakout zone. And then we're going to be looking for a rebound, a nice little rebound and some sideways price action for the time being. It is the day before CPI. Sometimes we do see some consolidation right before that. For the QQQ, it's going to likely retest this trend line. I would say that since it's on this little move to the downside, watch 436 flat as support. If we lose that, we have this 435 to 434 range, which is where we saw a lot of chop. The 434s are coming if you end up losing that, followed by a bigger drop. But I don't think it's going to drop that hard. I think it's going to retrace just a bit more and then bounce and then kind of chop around. Watch resistance at 438 and 440. I think this will sink a little bit more, so watch the support close to the 436 range. We could even drop a little bit lower to make our way back up and just continue to consolidate. But I think it's going to sink a little bit more, so make sure you watch support and see how well it ends up holding. Why may it sell off a little bit more? It's also because of Nvidia. I think Nvidia is going to sink right over here to fill this gap towards 720. If we lose 725, watch 720. If we lose that, there's 715, and then below that we have an imbalance at 707, which are all levels where I can see this thing basically bouncing. But at the very least, I do see it coming down a little bit more towards 720 before it tries to bounce. So watch that on Nvidia. This could slow the QQQ down to some extent. And finally, we have the notorious Apple stock. What do I see for Apple, guys? I'm not super bullish or super bearish yet. I'm still waiting for confirmation on the charts. What do I mean? So we have this tight range on Apple. We also have a head and shoulders like structure that is developing. And with the head and shoulders developing, I want to note that it's very important to look at this because this head and shoulders has not gotten confirmation of panning out. To be bullish, you want to see it break 190 and hold above that, and it could be pushing higher. To be bearish, you want to be losing this 188 support. If we lose this, a bigger drop is going to be coming towards 186.5 or even lower levels like 185. So that's what we need for this head and shoulders to pan out, a break below 188. So far, it hasn't done that, and it's been stuck between 188 and 190 for almost the last 5 days. It's been stuck. We can't really say much. So the best thing to do is just be patient and wait. We'll see if this head and shoulders plays out or not. And overall, it's still in this range. So just be patient and do what you have to do, guys. I will most definitely see you guys on the next one. All right. So with Tesla, anticipate that Tesla might drop a little bit temporarily. That does not mean it's going to crash. It just might get a temporary drop. And then we'll be watching to see how well it holds support because it's always rebound at one of these levels. But do be prepared for a little drop that's coming after the news came out about the price cuts and also because of Bowman's speech. So be prepared, guys. Do what you have to do. And we're going to be looking to see if Tesla can bounce later on. Okay, that's what I'm preparing everyone for. Do what you have to do, guys. And I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you and peace out.